is over.
It's just fall.
My babies.
You're being a bit dramatic. Besides, there's still plenty to do.
Oh.
Hey, it's Kate. I hope you're having a great day. What's in the garden today is some last-minute jobs before the winter sets in. So, theoretically, if the gardening season isn't over yet, what could we be doing? First off, it's getting cold. Here's a jacket. Jacket. We don't use these in the summer. Yeah, but it's fall now. The weather is changing, and so is the garden. So before the garden changes too much? Yeah, I can see the garden's changing, but there's still things to harvest? Yes. If your veg garden has any life left in it, make sure you keep harvesting what's there. Don't let this year's work go to waste. Next, we can work on getting the garden through the winter and setting ourselves up for success next year. Which means it's time to plant garlic. I like planting. The exact timing might vary based on your local climate, but here in my garden, I just had my first frost, so I need to get these planted. Speaking of bulbs, spring flowering ornamental bulbs can be planted around the same time as garlic, so things like crocus, daffodils, and tulips. Planting any of these bulbs is really easy. You'll probably have to separate the garlic into individual cloves, but otherwise they're all basically the same. You'll notice that bulbs have a pointed end, that's where the leaves will grow, and a flat sort of side, that's where the roots will grow. So check your package for planting depth and spacing, and pop your bulbs in, root side down, pointed side up. Fall is also a great time to plant trees and perennials. Ideally, you want to get them planted while it's still warm, giving them the best chance to settle in and take root before the cold winter weather arrives. You might find perennials on sale at your local garden shop with an end-of-year clear-out sale, or maybe you already have some potted plants that you've been meaning to plant. Now is a good time to do that. They're better off in the ground than in a pot over the winter. Now, my summer didn't go as planned in terms of planting this year. Tell me about it. And my garden is starting to look like a clearance section at a big box store. But to be honest, I'm still not ready to plant most of these. In this case, it might be a good idea to check and see if they need more room in their containers and potting them up to the next pot size. Similarly, it's also a good time to move or divide existing perennials in your garden. The reason fall is such a good time for all this perennial stuff is because the plants are not under as much stress since the summer heat has passed. But there's a brief opportunity before the winter cold sets in where they can do a bit more growing. This is what we can take advantage of. It will help them settle in, preparing for the winter. Speaking of cooling down, these lower temperatures are nice for us too, especially if you want to do some hard work like shoveling compost. No, I don't want to do that. Okay, hear me out on this one. I've got a couple points. One, with the cooler weather, you might not be sweating so much with bare arms getting old plant material all over yourself. Instead, you can be nicely covered up with an old jacket and some garden gloves. But also, your garden might be ready to give you a whole bunch of material. There are pros and cons to doing fall cleanup, but most of us do at least some. Besides, something had to move for all that garlic. I would advocate that any time is a good time to start a compost pile. So why not now? And if you already have a compost pile, take a look at it. Does it need any more moisture? Maybe it could use a turn. This will help speed up the decomposition so that compost is ready for you sooner. And very similar to compost, it's also that time of year for leaf mold. Leaf mold generally takes longer to make than compost, like 1 to 2 years, so you'll want to keep it out of the way. You can make it just in a pile or make a pen for it out of mesh or wood to keep it all together. The pile will shrink considerably as it decomposes, so make sure you start with extra. Remember all those pots and seedling trays we used last spring to get a head start for our gardens? These ones? How come they're a mess? Yeah. That's because we just tossed them in there when we were finished with them. Are we going to use these next year? Someone should clean them. Yes, and it's currently not freezing, pouring with rain, or a snowstorm, which makes this a good opportunity to get them cleaned up and brought in for next spring. On the other hand, maybe you don't have good going outside weather right now. If that's you and you're not in the mood to shovel compost, no, I don't want to shovel compost. Some garden stores and seed companies might have their seed packs on sale to clear out this year's stock. Most seed companies will only sell seed that was packed for that year, even though a lot of seeds will last for several years while still giving good results. So have a look, and they might even have other things on sale as well. Doing what we can in the fall can really help to set up our spring gardens for success. So for now, thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time. You're gonna shovel the compost, right? Because I have planting to do. I mean, sure.